chose to try to stay in office through a multi-part scheme to overturn the results and block the transfer of power.
Welcome back to America Decides. Back in December, during its final public hearing, the House January 6th committee unanimously issued 4 criminal referrals against Donald Trump. Less than a year later, the former president's legal situation looks drastically different. Nevertheless, Trump has remained defiant. California Democratic Congresswoman Zoe Lofgren joins us now. She previously served on the House Select Committee investigating the January 6th attack. Congresswoman, good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. I want to talk a little bit about your committee's work, because when you read the indictment from Special Counsel Jack Smith, you see a lot of similarities between that and the work that your committee did. What kind of role do you think the committee played in getting to this point?
Well, I think actually we played a more important role than I understood at the time. We, of course, investigated the plot, and the ex-president was at the center of that multifaceted plot to overturn the election. We interviewed, over 1,000 witnesses, and I assumed that the Department of Justice was doing the same thing. It turns out they were focusing almost entirely on the foot soldiers, the actual rioters, and it wasn't until we were able to reveal publicly the extent of the plot that went up to the highest office in the land that I think they began looking beyond the foot soldiers themselves.
Yeah, I want to ask a little more about that, because earlier this week I spoke to one of your Democratic colleagues, Brendan Boyle, Democrat from Pennsylvania, and he was very critical of the Justice Department and Attorney General Merrick Garland, saying they didn't move fast enough. I'm wondering if you share some of those criticisms of the Justice Department in terms of the timeline and how they acted here.
Well, when Jack Smith was appointed special counsel, things moved rapidly. I do wish that the special counsel had been appointed earlier, because all of this could have been earlier than it is now. But that's in the rearview mirror, nothing to be done about it. And I look forward to seeing what happens next in the court of law.
I also want to ask about some news today that we are learning about this special memo from one of President Trump's, someone in President Trump's circle, the secret memo outlining a strategy for former President Trump to overturn Biden's win. And this essentially involved getting an alternate slate of electors. I'm wondering if your committee knew about that memo.
We knew about some of the memos from Cheeseborough, but not the one that's been in the news today. We uncovered the plot to have these fake electors. It was went right up to the president himself, and it was illegal. And we made that known in our report, although we didn't have all of the memos that are being discussed. We had one from earlier in November and December.
And you also have said before, too, that, in the indictment we learned that Mike Pence, the former vice president, of course, took notes and shared those with the committee. You have said that the committee shared them with the special counsel, I should say. You have said that the committee did not see those notes. Is that right?
That's right. We were unable to interview Mike Pence. We subpoenaed him, and he declined to come in. Of course, the special counsel has more tools available than a congressional committee, and he did go in to talk to them. So there are things that we were unable to find out, like his contemporaneous notes. And when President Trump told him, "You're too honest," we didn't know that either. But we learned a lot from his chief counsel and his chief of staff. But not everything.
In addition to those notes, or the existence of them, was there anything else that you learned that you didn't know that came forward in this indictment?
Well, I didn't know that Trump had told Pence, "You're too honest." I mean, that tells me a couple of things. One, that Pence refused to violate his oath, but I guess Trump realized that he was being dishonest in that statement. And number two, I didn't realize how close we came to Trump ordering the military into American cities. That's pretty chilling. If he had succeeded, there would have been demonstrations, and that's why, quote, we have the Insurrection Act, which of course allows for military to be dispatched. Very unsettling.
And there, of course, is also this looming case in Georgia. Of course, that's not a federal case, but I'm wondering kind of everything you've seen from the indictment, from Jack Smith, and also the work that your committee is doing, anything that you may expect to see if charges are in fact brought in that case?
Well, I don't know what the Georgia case is, except what I read in the newspapers. It looks like they are exploring the fake elector issue, which, of course, we also identified. What else they're looking at, I don't know. And, of course, it's violations of state law that they will be pursuing, not the federal statutes that we looked at.
Well, Zoe Lofgren, Congresswoman from California, a member of that January 6th committee. We thank you very much for your time, and we'll see how these investigations play out.
Okay, you take care.